Hello and welcome once again to this channel, and today we will learn about the second part of water gardening. Some of the important categories of plants of water gardens are like surface flowering aquatics, oxygenators which maintain hygiene. Okay, the oxygenator plants are those type of plants which maintain the hygienes and balance in water garden. And third is floating plants, and lastly is the marginal plants, that it is grow in shallow water. Okay, grow mostly in the shallow water. So these are the four important categories of plants of water garden. So here are some of the example of the flowers. This is the first one. The first three are the surface flowering plants. Okay, and there are so many, but I have given here three example. The first one is Aponogeton distache, and second is Urale ferox, and the third is Nilambo nucifera. These are their botanical name. Okay, it's botanical name. And this Aponogeton, it's also called Cape pond wheat. Okay, it's a type of pond wheat. And then this one, the second, Urale ferox, and Nilambo nucifera. Actually, this is also called Indian lotus. Okay, it's also called Indian lotus. So these are some of the example of surface flowering plants. Now the next is the oxygenator plants. These are some of the example. That is the first one, Calitraceae autumnalis, and the second is Elodie canadensis, and the last one is Ranunculus aquatilis. Okay, so these are some of the example of the surface flowering plant and oxygenator plant. Next slide is this one, about a floating plant and the marginal plant that we can grow in the water garden. The first one, the first three, okay, that is the floating plant. It is Azolla, like you can see the name here, Azolla caroliniana, and then this one Acornia speciosa and Trapa narans. And this one, the last one, is marginal plants. These three are the example of it, that is Ochorchus calamus, Calla palustris, and Typa angustifolia. So these are some of the example. And then now we'll come to the next part. Next part is about its planting. So when you do planting, the first thing, like we already said, that you have to keep that pond, that place very clean, very nice. And then firstly you have to fill, and then before filling the water, you have to fill what? You have to fill a heavy loam or clay soil with sufficient FYM, that is the farmyard manure. You have to fill that, and then at a depth of what? 30 to 40 centimeter. After that, you have to add 50 to 70 gram of bone meal. Okay, bone meal meter square. How much? 50 to 70 gram bone meal. What is bone meal? I hope you all know what is bone meal. Bone meal is a mixture of finely grounded animal bones. Okay, it's animal bones and slaughterhouse waste product, like when you make like the waste product that comes from the construction of the house. So the mixture of those is called bone meals, and it is used mostly in as an organic fertilizer for plants. Okay, for the nutrition supplement. So it is also an organic fertilizer. It's also used primarily as a source of phosphorus and protein. And then the third one is lilies and lotus are planted directly in the soil. And then the planting can be done in boxes also. You can do the planting in boxes into what centimeter? 50 to 70 centimeter at every side of the box. And after the establishment, put the box in the pool. Okay, after you do the planting, then you place the box inside the pool, and after that slowly raise the water level. And if the water pool, okay, like if it's overcrowded with so many water plants, then you can do one thing. You can separate, okay, you can separate the plant to another pool. Okay, if you construct another pool, then you can put there in that another pool and replant it there. Again you do the same procedure. Okay, सेम प्रोसीजर को फॉलो करें और उसको रिप्लान करें दूसरे पूल में. And after that, to avoid slimy green growth of this blanket weed, okay, to avoid this the growth of this blanket weed, what you should do, you should add 30 gram of potassium permanganate, that is KMnO4, potassium permanganate per 1 or 1.25 lakh liters of water. Okay. So these are some of the important points. And you can also do one thing. You can add even this one, 30 gram of copper sulfate also. Okay, if you don't get potassium permanganate, you can add 30 gram of copper sulfate. And yes, this one, you have to like avoid also the snails. Okay, the snails that comes here, so you have to avoid those also. So when you add this, it will help in what I'll say, reducing the chemical in the water. Okay, so it will be good for the plants also. So these are some of the important points in planting. And one advantage is there about this one snail also, that snail sometimes it's added also in this, okay, as scavengers, because it eats the residues of plants and animals. And you have to change the water in the pool after every 1 or 2 year. Okay, 1 या 2 साल के बाद आपको पानी चेंज करना है पूल का. सो ये enhance करेगा utility of the lily pools. Okay, so these are some of the important points. So in India, you can find some of the famous water garden, like for example the Indian Botanic Garden, Simpur, that is in West Bengal. Okay, and then it's having the floating leaves of giant lily, which is also called Victoria regia. Okay, its botanical name Victoria regia, and it's one of the eye-catching features. And second is the lily pool. Okay, lily pool in Agri Horticultural Society Garden in Kolkata, West Bengal. Okay, so this is also an eye-catching, the lily pool, okay, which is present here in the Agri Horticulture Society. So these are some of the water garden in India. Next are some of the features of the gardens, and they are like water path and bridges. So firstly we'll discuss about the water path. So I guess we have discussed about it before also in different type of garden, formal, informal, okay, like, and then once again we'll just have like some important point. We'll discuss about some of the important point that comes in the walk path. So in walk path, you see that it leads to what? It leads to different part of the garden, different part of gardens, and then they are mainly used by the pedestrian. Okay, pedestrian, and the path in the garden should be laid out after due to consideration is given to its necessary and artistic appeal. And you have to keep in mind that too many paths, okay, बहुत सारा पाथ होने से ये गार्डन के जो आर्टिस्टिक वैल्यू है उसको स्पॉइल करता है. So you shouldn't use too many path also. Okay, and a path with graceful and gentle curve. ये थोड़ा सा curve, like you can see here in this picture also, like there is a gentle curve, okay, will look much better than a straight path. And after that, the path constructed in a garden should harmonize with other garden features. Okay, it should harmonize with other garden features like bridges, and then this one basin and all, no, water bath and all. So they should, like fountains, and also it should harmonize with the other garden features. And the garden path should never be less than 60 centimeter. Okay, it shouldn't be less than 60 centimeter wide, but it should preferably be between 90 and 120 centimeter. And a wider path this allowed, like it allowed easy passage of wheelbarrows and other garden implements. Like if you have to pass through that path, okay, अगर आपको उस path से pass होना है, like you have to carry all this stuff, या फिर like you need to carry a wheel, okay, wheel and all. So you need a wider path. So a wider path also you can use, and then you can create, you can construct if like easy passage for the wheels and other garden implement. And the path should not be constructed too high, okay, too high or too low from the adjoining ground, except in marsh garden. So when you are constructing this path, you have to keep in mind that it shouldn't be too high, okay, too high from the ground level. ज़्यादा हाई नहीं होना चाहिए, ज़्यादा मतलब उससे कम भी नहीं, but it should be what I'll say, it should be like from the like constructed too high or too low from the adjoining ground. It should level, okay, like you can see in this picture. So these are some of the important point to remember in constructing of walk path. And then even the principle of construction of garden path is the same as for drive, but since these are narrow and not meant for heavy traffic, the foundation it need not to be too deep, like we have discussed before. And the excavation will vary from 15 to 22 centimeter depending upon the nature of the soil. When you are constructing the path, so you like you will start digging, okay, thoda khudai karoge, and after that you have to keep in mind that it shouldn't be too much deep. 15 to 22 centimeter it's fine, because you have to place these bricks or stone, okay, for the path, or tiles, okay. So after that then you pave the garden bricks, okay. After that the material generally used for garden paths are जो garden paths में, okay, material जो use होते हैं वो है bricks, and then paving stone and crazy paving stone. And the paths of pale green, brush pink and grey color are very common, okay. These are the common color which you the common color of the path that you use, that is like pale greenish, okay, and color gray color, yeah, they are common. And then the size also you should see that in a small garden large size paving material can destroy the sense of scale. So try small size slabs, okay, small size slabs which are also easier to handle. And or to go for, you can go for brick also, okay, pavers, or small round stone. Like here you can see there are like some bit oval or rectangular shape of stone. And then after that these you have to keep in mind. So it's related to the paving or the stone. So this is some of the important point. Now we'll come to the next. Now we come to bridges. So bridges is also one important features in the garden. And here like bridges are actually necessary item, okay. This is the first point that I wrote, that is they are the necessary item in the garden to cross the stream or ponds. And this should be developed harmoniously with landscape. You have to see the what else, the design of the landscape, then according to that you have to construct the bridge, okay, according to the design. And the shape and size and material of the bridges depend upon the type of water barrier, like from which direction the water is coming, or how it is, and all, how is the side of the river, of the river or of the water, okay, the side of the water. So you have to see all those things. And the bridges are usually made up of or created by stone or wood or bamboos or concrete or steels. And in garden design, rustic looking material are more appropriate than the formal one, like mostly like which will they create in such a way that it will look more natural, because it's you are creating it in the garden. So you have to keep that in mind, okay, when you construct the bridges. So this is some point. The next topic that we're gonna discuss is tree. So what is tree? Tree are woody plants and the seed of which have the inherent capacity of producing naturally within their natural limits. One main erect axis continuing to grow to a number of years more vigorously than the lateral axis, and the lower branches dying off in time. And they play a vital role in the sociology of human being. How? We will know further. That is, regarding their importance, it can be stated that they afford shelter and shade. Okay, how they play sociology, like an important role in sociology of human being. It's like they afford shelter and shade, like not only for human but even for the birds. Okay, it provides shelter, and for human being it provides the shades. And then especially during hot summer, and particularly in the tropical and subtropical states. And they add, next point is, they add beauty of their blooms and foliage, and they provide fragrance, okay, fragrance of their blooms, leaves, etc. And the trees, they also do one more important thing, that is they provide fruits. They provide fruits and berries for human consumption, and not only provide fruits, but it's also it also like have this important role, that is the beautification of building compounds and such other surrounding. Further, trees afford timbers, and some of them provide liquor for drinking also. And the tree leaves, it can be used as fodder for cattle. Okay, चारा देने के लिए आप use कर सकते हो tree leaves को. You can use the tree leaves, and when there is a scarcity, okay, when there is a scarcity of field grown forage crop, then you can use tree leaf to provide food for the cattles. And trees, it also play one more important role, that is they control erosion, soil erosion, and mitigate floods. Okay, it also control the floods in certain places. And certain trees are the direct source of nectar, lac, and fabric. And many of them have got a wide role in Ayurvedic medicine. Like for example, even one very common example, that is the neem tree. Okay, it provides a very good Ayurvedic medicine. So the glory of trees is an inspiration for poet also and for writer also. So these are some of the important point of trees. Now we come to the selection of trees. So you have to keep these two very important points in mind, that is the environment factor and the soil structure. So in the environmental factors, such as the what comes under environment factor, the climate, okay, climate and soil of locality influence to a very great extent to the choice of trees. And the temperature mainly affect the flowering. Okay, the temperature mainly affect the flowerings, and therefore judicious selection of tree species according to the local temperature, like in that particular area, what type of tree or what species of tree can survive in that climate, okay, in that climatic condition. You have to keep this in mind. And especially suppose in that local, especially in that local or in that particular area. And then for a successful plantation, okay, so temperature mainly affect flowering, therefore judicious selection of tree species according to local temperature, okay, local temperature range will govern the success of plantation. and all the trees flourish well in a definite range of rainfall. Okay, definite rainfall. You should get a proper rainfall in that area. And like for example in this one, the trees, okay, of range of rainfall as Bhutia and Krateva in 250 rainfall. It survives mostly in that type of like climatic condition. And the Specia populnea and Poinciana regia, it grows well in 175 millimeter. And then even this one, and Amhestia and Brownie in zone of like 2250 average rainfall. So there are some trees which are resistant and some are susceptible, okay, for frost. Like even in the winter season, there are some trees that are very good in winter season or which can survive, okay, like Saraka indica, this one Spatodia, Campanulata, and Brownie ariza, etc. are some frost susceptible tree. There are some tree which survive in the winter season. Now we'll come to the soil. So in soil, there are like you have to see the soil structure or soil texture. The soil texture and soil reaction are further two main physical and chemical character of soil, which affect the selection of trees for planting in a particular soil. So for example, which type of tree are good for alluvium soil? They are this one, Thespacia, okay, Thespacia, Lagerstromia, Flas reginae are good in deep alluvium soil. And the extreme of soil reaction affect the availability of nutrient and ultimately growth of the tree. For example, like Azadirachta indica and Acacia nilotica, it make good growth in salty soil, while this one rhododendron arboreum and Pseudium gajava, etc., they flourish well in acidic soil. So mostly all the trees, they grow well in neutral soil ranging from what pH? 5.5 to 6.5 pH. So these are some of the important points that comes under the environmental factor and soil structure.